recording is started, and then I'll just be a minute or so looking for something to talk about.
All right, man.
Ready for battle.
Taking care of you.
This is restricted airspace is inevitable.
Uh-oh, got purple there. Alright, so, current issue is we're letting our whole team kind of like wander off, and we don't really now have line of sight on anything. So this is going to be an important thing on and then also other supports as well, is making sure that you're able to see your teammates, have line of sight on your teammates. You're not always going to be able to see everybody. Like, for example, if we're over here, like, how would you see Sojourn?
Yeah.
Example, position here, and we only have access to Hanzo, and then maybe if we peek a hair, we have access to Moira, but Moira's about to walk into that room, so really it's just going to be one person, right?
Okay.
But if your position's right here, that means now you can see 1, 2, 3 people, right? So it's a big difference, and that means you're actually going to be able to heal and help out. And safe from like Echo if you're with your teammates, because they can help protect you with healing and damage and tanking and whatnot. So first thing I say here, stick with your team. Not in any and all cases, but in this case, most of the time you want to be able to see people.
Okay.
All right, so we toss in a heal nade here. So when you're throwing heal nades, so heal nades basically come when heal nades are needed, and then when they're not needed, then you should be throwing anti nades, because anti nades are very powerful and they can get you a lot of high impact and value. But you do throw healing nades when healing nades are needed, and usually the instance where heal nades are needed is when people are low and or and in danger. It's a both and. It can't be one or the other. So I can be 1 HP and sitting in this room and be perfectly safe, and then
Yeah.
nade could be used, but at the same time you could just heal them up. It'd be like maybe if the fight's happening and you want to get them back fast, then sure, go for it. But if the fight's not happening, then it's just better to save the ability.
All right.
But if we look at this example where everybody's pretty much full HP, even if they were in danger, right? I could be in danger, like if I'm standing right here, and if I'm full HP, then nade's still not going to do anything. Or just better to hold on to the ability and either use it aggressively as an anti, or use it for more healing when needed. Don't tunnel vision in on healing the 50 HP if you're not able to. Hanzo's kind of out of line of sight, and 55 HP, though, it'd be nice to top him off, isn't going to get him killed, so I wouldn't be just staring up here when, for example, there's Reinhardt who's critical on the front line. Yep, there you go. Okay, so good, we did at least see the Reinhardt. Would have been bad if he died while we weren't looking. Okay. Minor point would be watch spam jumping, as spam jumping is basically just when you go jump. You can kind of see yourself doing it right now.
Yeah.
And that's
Habit of mine I just noticed the other day.
yeah. Yep. And the reason why is just because it can make it easier to headshot and shoot at, and then also you lose control over your mobility as well. You can't really when you're in the air, you don't really get to choose where you're going. So that's the primary thing. I wouldn't say it's a game breaker. It's not gonna instantly rank you up, rank you up
Yeah.
to diamond, but at the same time, it's still something to keep an eye out for. Okay. I like that we tried to go for the anti. We'll maybe talk about how to more effectively do that in a minute.
Yeah. time I'll try to go for it and it hits a teammate. I'm just like, oh, I'm trying to figure out how to like the best angles to get those most of the time.
Mhm. Yep, and yeah, we can definitely review that. Yep. Mhm.
Don't fret. I see you. Helping you out.
Uh-oh.
I see you.
All right, so once again, I think we're a bit far back. Anna, in relation to her team, excuse me, in relation to her team and in relation to the enemy team, she should be a close to mid-range from her team. So usually preferring a bit closer to her team to be able to heal people easier. Right now we're a bit more mid-ranged from our team. I'd say just being a bit closer is better. And then to the enemy team, you should usually be mid-ranged to close, meaning the preference is on the mid-ranged. And then you can get close maybe. Right now we're a bit more of a long range from the enemy team. Now, the reason why you don't want to just be long range all the time sitting back here, players because they go, oh, Ana has a sniper gun, sniper rifle, I should play all the way as far back as I can. And the issue that comes up with that is a couple things. So primarily the fact that both of your abilities are projectiles. So this makes it so that it is very difficult the further away you go to connect your abilities. They're not they have very slow travel times, which makes it very hard to predict where they're going. Enemies can block them, move out of the way, accidentally just walk out of it, and things like that. People can walk in front of it easier, things of that nature. And then beyond that, not just ability, and abilities are a big part of your kit. They're how you get impact and value rather than just existing. They can be how you're able to like kind of carry and leave a mark on your game. And then beyond just your abilities, it's also going to be harder to keep tabs, keep line of sight on the fight if you're really far back. So imagine like if we're back here, and then Ryan here, then now we can kind of push around with Reinhardt. We can see him if he runs around this corner, if he runs around that corner. We're able to keep line of sight much, much better. And then, like I was saying before, notice how much easier landing a nade is going to be from this angle, like on the Sigma, than if from all the way back there. And then it's really not that much more dangerous. So, cover being just like something like this, right? They can see me, now they can't. See me, now they can't. And that means that you're not going to be taking any damage.
Yeah. Yep. Does.
On it.
No, no questions yet.
Gotcha. All right.
Helping you out.
Yeah, and then something like this will happen, and now we're just stuck shooting at the shield. I might once again start just pushing forwards because now we just can't do anything to heal Reinhardt because shield's in the way. Right? Notice once again, like this right here is the exact same problem where literally like our entire team, like we have 3 people who are like half HP or lower, and we can't see any of them, right? Just because of our
Yeah.
current angle. But if we take us and we move up to here, oh, now we can see 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
Just the difference in positioning there makes a big deal because now you're actually able to do your job.
Taking care of you.
Okay.
Payload has reached the checkpoint.
Payload mobilizing. Stand up straight. No recovery.
Grenade. Once again, I think we'll talk about abilities in a minute.
No power downs. Get in there.
Okay. We go for the Nano and Reinhardt, which I think is appropriate because we don't really have any other good characters to Nano. Maybe like Nano Coalescence could be decent, but Reinhardt I think is pretty solid. We use it when he's starting to dip in HP, so I think that's pretty solid usage.
Never thought about even nanoing coalescence.
Yeah,
It's
Nano
interesting.
Coalescence is pretty decent. It's not like the best there is.
Yeah.
I'd say it's just like pretty solid. Like I would say, if Reinhardt's on top of the enemy team, maybe Nano Reinhardt's a little bit better, but Nano Coalescence has so much more flexibility and range than Reinhardt does, to where if Reinhardt's not on top of the enemy team, in a lot of cases that can be the better combo. Just because you're able to reach, upward. I can't remember. I think it's like 30 meters or something like that with Moira, and Reinhardt's hammer is gonna give you like 4 meters. So that's big difference, and you're gonna be able to kind of shred through people, depending on the circumstance. So that's just an idea to throw out. But I think Reinhardt was fine there because he was close enough, and we were also saving him from death because he was low HP, which isn't always the play, but that was a fine one there.
You need this. Payload secured. Let's move. Covering you. Into them in.
All right. Kind of just chilling on card at this point. Not a whole lot going on. Unfortunate nade.
The payload's moving. About time.
Okay. So we are gonna go over your ability usage real quick. So nade, let's talk over it for a minute. I already briefly mentioned, but nade is really powerful, right? It's when using for anti purposes, especially. Like I said, it's not the only way to use it, but oftentimes lower ranked Anas will use it a lot more, use it for more healing than they should. You really most of the time you're going to be using it like 60. The split should be like 60% damage, 40% healing, roughly speaking. It'll depend on game to game. How much damage is your team actually taking? Are they in danger? Are they low? Like I said, healing comes as the priority, but then when it's not needed, then you're throwing it in for damage, right? And when you throw it in for damage, you want to look for the first thing I'd mention is look for big clumps of people. You want to be going for your nades on multiple targets, because it's just gonna be so much better than one target, right? If you're hitting it on a single Sigma, that's going to be a lot less value than if you hit it on 3, 4, 5 players, right? In fact, you can get, if you're hitting it on 3 players, that's probably more like 4 times the value, right? Because it kind of gets, you get a bit more than just the 1-to-1 ratio there. You get extra value by hitting on more. So,
Yeah.
therefore, aim for more people. Throughout a fight, you'll notice that the enemy team will kind of be like a blob, where they will spread apart and then clump up, and then spread apart and then clump up. So they'll be like nobody's together and now there's 2 together, and then nobody's together and now there's 3 together, right? And it'll kind of go in and out, right? It'll depend, and you want to keep your eyes out and look for those. So right here, this would be an example where we got Naden, right? Reinhardt's not in immediate danger, right? He's getting healed up by 2 people. Has cover. He has shield, right? He's not in. We don't need the heal nade here, right? And we see all those guys are all clumped up in that room in there. So if we watch here, Sigma runs off to the side, and ooh, I see it right there. We zoom in, right? That's 3 people standing right on top of each other, right? And then Sigma's kind of off on the side. And this would be the higher value nade, right? It puts more pressure on them. It means that so that they don't die, right? They're gonna have to back up, right? When you nade, they have to choose: do I push? Do I back? Do I stay? If they stay or they push, then they just die. If they back up, then you give up. Then they give up value in space. So
Right.
that'd be the first thing here, is we throw it at Sigma, right? Which is and then we also miss Sigma. let's talk about how you can land nade more effectively and sleeps. Alrighty. So, if we are going about our business,
Leave a broken one
one of the first things is put effort into your ability usage, right? A lot of the times, with lower ranked players, lower ranked Anas, it kind of looks gameplay kind of looks like this. This is not fully true. Of your own gameplay, it might not be, but I am noticing it at least a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So what it'll kind of look like is you'll come into the fight and you'll go pew pew shoot shoot and then sleep and then pew pew shoot shoot and then nade, right? Where we're identifying the situation and then tossing in a nade after like half a second of thinking about it. And what that can do is it means that they feel very rushed. They don't have much time or effort behind it, and then that means that we don't really necessarily put it into the best circumstances. Whereas a lot of times your aim, you're just base healing. It's pretty solid. There weren't too many issues. Like you just going pew pew and healing teammates, that wasn't like the issue so far, right? It's not like you're constantly missing every shot, and therefore a lot of the times what you can do is just kind of autopilot with that, and so we can come into the fight and think, okay, I'm coming in, I'm looking for nade, I'm waiting for people to line up, I'm looking for the opportunity, I'm lining it up, and I'm throwing in nade, right? You're kind of thinking through it for a couple seconds, and you can even do that while it's on cooldown, right? I can be thinking through it while it's on like 5 seconds here, so that as soon as it comes off cooldown, I can be tossing it in, is another way I can go about that. So putting effort, same thing with sleep, right? Putting effort rather than like half a second of thought, and then that can help land better abilities. Beyond that, with nade, don't try to throw it at people directly. If I try to throw it at somebody and it misses, it just goes sailing off into Narnia. But if I throw it at the floor between people, then it doesn't go sailing past them. It has a big giant splash radius, and then also it doesn't get caught on people, and
Yeah.
you can hit this a bigger radius of people. So floor in between as many people as possible is what you're aiming for. Right.
All right.
Then besides that, this is a nade tech that is super handy. This only works if you are scoped in, and this is going to be best for medium to long ranges. So you're going to scope in. You're going to take your ult charge, and you're going to line that up with an enemy, and then you're going to press your nade button,
no recovery.
and that
Nice.
that nade is going to hit them from any range or any height, basically. Just don't need it when you're like right next to them.
Yeah.
That's straight.
Now that we're on a bit more even footing with them, and in fact they're a bit on a slope there, we're gonna line up our Q with them right there. Chuck that in, still hits them. I think if we go further back, we have to adjust a bit higher. So maybe we toss our Q up. If we run further back here, I think we're gonna have to adjust to maybe like the top of our Q or so. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Yep, so just kind of adjust along depending on what range you're at as well. Alright. All that making sense? Any questions so far?
Oh yeah, that was pretty helpful. I had no idea that was even spawn attack.
I'm going to let you know that I did not know that existed until I stopped maining Ana. After I'd already peaked in the game, and it made me sad.
That's funny.
Okay, so next thing is obstacles. What can get in the way of your abilities, right? This applies to both abilities, especially nade as well. Because nade, generally speaking, nade is the more offensive ability, and sleep is the more defensive. There will be situations where it will be vice versa. Like let's say somebody's inside of your team, you can use sleep offensively to kind of shut them down and get a kill. But usually nade is offensive, sleep is defensive. So if we're looking for our ability, we have a lot of obstacles that can get in the way. We have teammates and enemies, right? So when it comes to teammates, we can move to the left, we can move to the right, we can walk back and throw over, we can walk through them, or we can wait for them to politely move out of the way. And all that's just so it doesn't get caught and then not go where we want it. Enemies, players, it would be the same thing, right? Right what we talked about before. Don't chuck it at them, chuck it kind of around them. Then other things that can get in the way are shields and abilities, tanking abilities. Shields and tanking abilities, you can do number of different things. You can throw it to someone who's not behind it. You can throw it to the left of it. You can throw it to the right. You can try to get it over, especially if you're up on a high ground. You can maybe get it under, but that's a bit more niche. If they misplace the shield. You can wait for the shield to break. You can wait for the cooldown to go down. You can wait for the person to die. You can try to do it when they're not paying attention, right? You have a lot of different options, but, and there's a but there, it's still going to be really difficult, right? Even if you're watching for all that stuff, it's still a lot of stuff to get in your way. And there's an even easier way to land nades that you don't have to really worry about, getting, it kind of just bypasses all that. You don't have to worry about having to try to get it through all of that. And that's something you can do with your positioning. So if the enemy team is standing there and our team is standing here, and this is what you call the main angle. We have to go up against our teammates are in front of us, and the enemy team's there, and they have shields and tanks. There's just a whole lot of stuff in your face. So if we're trying to land our nades, it's going to be pretty difficult. But if I come over to the side here, well, now you just toss nades straight to their back line and get bypass the teammates, the shields, the tanks, straight where I want it to go. And this is very safe. It's very fast. And this is what you call an off angle. It's a different angle from the main angle. And this is going to be around maybe about like half of the time, easily accessible, like half of your, half of all situations. It's going to be frequent, just not all the time. Another example, enemy team, our team, main angle, right? We heal our team, we take a couple seconds, we come up to the high ground. Well, now we just got around all the shields, straight to their back line. We can drop anytime we need to. It's very safe. It was pretty fast. And then high grounds usually act as off angles as long as we're above them. If they're all the way over there, then not as much because they can still kind of shield you off from over on that angle. And then the other thing is don't be careful that you're not flanking because there's a difference. Ana's not really a flanky character. Flanks are usually, there'd be, if the fight's happening there and we go around and around, they're usually much more long and dangerous. And Ana can't really do long and dangerous. A character like Tracer Soldier could do long or dangerous. All that makes sense? Any questions?
No questions.
Alrighty. Why don't we hop back then?
Traveling to Dorado. Ready for battle.
Stand up straight.
Okay.
What?
Woo, whew. That was a very nice sleep. All right.
I get those like 30% of the time.
All right. So that was a fantastic sleep, but some not so fantastic positioning. So let's go over the not so fantastic positioning aspect of things. So first thing on the docket is when you are about to cap point and the enemy team is trying to stop you from capping point, where is the one place the enemy team needs to go?
My own point. Yeah, but see, I have like this thing in my head where like I'm on the support. I should always be like pushing the payload, and I like have this thing where I don't trust my teammates to be on it, and I have to always push it.
Map, right? On each point, you have roughly speaking 2 fights, right? So think the first fight that's probably going to happen around like this bend, somewhere around here, and then the second fight that's going to happen around the last stretch, right? First fight happens maybe around this first bend or this stretch here, and then second fight happens right around this last stretch, right? First fight happens maybe around this bend here. Second fight, last stretch, right? So roughly speaking, 2 fights per point. It is going to be more if you lose them. to stop you from pushing. They're trying to win the fight, right?
Yeah.
Only ever touch cart on like when you're about to cap, right? If you're the only option to touch cart. So nobody else touches it. Just so far forwards that you're probably gonna maybe die. Just because it puts you smack dab in the middle of their team, makes it very easy for them to all look at and shoot at you. All that making sense?
Yeah.
Pushed up to the, pushed up on top of cart. The other thing is that we aren't really in a good position, and I'll define that in a moment here. So
I will not leave it
if
open
I
like
am
they hide it.
positioning and I position myself right over here, and the whole enemy team, they're looking at me, they're shooting at me, and I'm running away, and I go 1, 2, 3 seconds. Now I'm behind cover. You cannot shoot through solid objects, and therefore you can't die if I'm behind it, and I'm safe. But in that time it just took me to walk here, I died. Right, I was too
Yeah.
far away. But if I'm right here, well, now I can do pretty much all the same stuff from here, except for now it's taking half a second to duck behind cover. Much quicker than what it took me before, like 6 times quicker. And therefore, good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. The further away we stray from the cover, the worse off we're going to be. And cover's all over the place. You can use slopes like so. Pillars in between shots when you're reloading, if you're being shot at. You can use corners for the exact same thing. If the enemy team is just, you're taking a lot of damage, abilities and ultimates. Random objects in the payload. Pillar, corner, doorway, corner, doorway. It's all over the place. Just want to look to use it. Additionally, high grounds are fantastic positioning. From high ground, the whole thing kind of acts as natural cover. They see you, now they can't. They see you, now they can't. Right? You can get out of line of sight very easily. On top of that, most characters can't reach you without taking the stairs, and then the ones that can, a lot of them need to use abilities, which adds an additional layer of survivability. And then besides that, so let's see what else is there. You also have tons of visibility on the high ground. We can see over here and over here, here. Low ground, well, we can't see over there. Can't see over there, and we can't really see any of the high ground either. So you get a lot more visibility, and like we said as well, the off angle from the high ground. So high grounds can cover, make up great positioning, and there we're kind of low ground, smack dab in the middle of the open, super far forwards. So that's just gonna make it super easy for people to kill us. And high grounds are usually, because they take, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get to them. Usually they're best to take in between fights. Is the idea. That all makes sense.
Traveling
Yeah.
to Dorado, ready for battle. Ready.
Right. So just notice how like here, like just how far, like how far is the closest bit of cover, right? Like we're trying to run from Hanzo, we have to go all the way over, or like I don't even know what one would be closer. I think that's probably like the closest would be that. Like we're so far from anything, right? So it's just gonna take multiple, probably like 4 or 5 seconds, and then that by the time we were to get headshot. Oh, and we did. Right door is usually a bit faster, but not a major deal. Man, I'm getting this like weird audio bug where it like makes that like error noise whenever I fast forwards. It's a bit weird.
No time for games. Let's move this thing.
If you're trying to get your team to, are you? I would think maybe you're saying stuff in team chat, possibly.
I was waiting to see which
Hmm.
direction the tank was gonna pick, left or right.
Gotcha. Something you can do if you're trying to get the team to group up, and actually, you know what? I'm trying to remember. I don't think it's actually in that it's. I can't remember. I don't think that they've implemented it into replays yet. But pinging is something to as
Oh yeah,
well. Just to, just continue to get in the habit of. I think there's
I
a.
do that a
Yeah.
lot. Especially
Gotcha.
on sleeps, nades,
Perfect.
somebody flanking.
Yep.
I love pinging.
Exactly. They definitely need to add that into replay so I can actually see it when it's happening.
Yeah.
But like here, this would be a situation where you could ping, like, say, like, just, hey, we're coming over this way, guys, that sort of thing.
Yeah, every time I die, you can still ping like where they're at when you died, and I love it.
Yep.
Take this. Don't fret. I see you. Help me.
Okay. So Sigma pushes us. Okay. Once again, notice how like fast the sleep is, and we're not in immediate danger to where you're gonna die in half a second. If this was a nanoblading Genji on top of you, then maybe you can do it a bit faster, right?
That sucker is
Rush it.
hard to hit too.
Say that again.
I always miss the sleeps on the nano Genjis.
Yeah. Yeah, those are gonna be difficult. That's like, I mean, that's practice and a lot of practice and skill. And like, man, honestly, that's a bit like there's niche tips that I can give you, but on like for the really you just gotta go fast
practice
with
makes
that
perfect
one.
on that.
Yeah, exactly. This though. My tip would just be don't rush it, right? Because we fire it half a second after seeing him when we have another like 1, 2, 3. Oh, we're not dead still, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Get in there.
Here, we kind of jump into the open in worse positioning when we could probably still see her from here, right? Still having more cover to work with and having this like kind of it really is just being a bit more removed from the fight. Oh, there you go. and now we're using the cover I was just talking about, right? So imagine if we were already next to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be almost dead.
Yep. Good self-heal nade. Okay. Kind of same thing here. And then also noting like the jumping as well is going to throw this off a little bit. And then we die because once again kind of really far on the open primary reason.
Coalescence is ready. Advance with me.
Enemy returns from the grave.
Keep fighting.
All right, you did it.
Yeah, I was panicking for that one.
All right, so let's rewatch this for half a second. We rotate to this side. Okay. I think that's okay because we didn't see that she was critical until after we already started the rotation, so that's kind of unfortunate. Nice shot. Okay. Notice once again, easiest counter to Visor is having easily accessible cover. So, difference between being here and being here, right? Like two inches away, where Visor's at. So just once again, cover usage, watching our jumping, right? So notice how he can see us just barely. If we like go this way, now he can't see us.
Mhm.
You need
Yeah, all right, there we go. So cover. A lot of easily preventable deaths. Not an overabundance so far of them, but just ones that we could fix decently easily. More value if we do. Okay, so we're up against the shield. We're thinking, okay, how do we get past the shield? Well, firstly, Mercy's rezzing, and we can just kind of peek back this way and toss in a sleep at that, right? That cancels res, so that's the first thing. So that's maybe a bit of awareness,
Yeah.
of seeing it and paying attention to it. Then shield, once again, like if we're trying to get around it, right? All those different options we talked about before. There's not like if you're positioning right here, you don't really got too much of an off angle, right? Really, the most of an quote unquote off angle you can get would be like main angle, off angle, and that's about that. Like it's kind of, but not really. You could potentially like go and jump off of cart, and you can that this is a way that you could get over the shield. You could try to throw it to the left of the shield, to the right of the shield if there's people on either side of them. Um,
Yeah.
Maneuver them, and that can help get some value out of those abilities. Okay, good timing. I like how you're thinking there. You're thinking, oh, they just used their window. Reinhardt's probably gonna drop shield to Fire Strike, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty good ult or ability timing. The issue is that we only hit Reinhardt when there's like 3 people there, right?
Mm.
So it only hits Reinhardt when there's 3 people grouped up. So the placement needs to be further. We need to make sure that we're trying to get the big clump of people. So aiming at the feet in between them, right, is important. Yeah, so we got a nano boost to work with. Nano Orisa, I would say, is probably your best combo, or Nano Orisa ult. Terra Surge, I think is what they call it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nano Surge. I don't know if that's the official name for it yet. But Nano Surge would probably be a pretty good combo to work for, but she's also really far away from it. So probably Nano Coalescence would be your next best bet. Which I'm thinking maybe because you said you weren't. I would think we're probably just gonna nano flat up Orisa then.
Yeah.
Oof, unfortunate.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Okay. So,
You're powered up. Get
consider the fact that you do not that nano. I think oftentimes people get caught up in the, oh, I'm saving the tank, so therefore it's a fantastic nano. But think of it in kind of in terms of like life points, right? Here, I would say that Arissa probably doesn't die even if you don't like. So that's something to take into account of, are they going to die if I don't use nano? Here, I'd say no. Orissa's not going to die. You have nade that you can nade Reinhardt and Orisa. In 1 second, you're getting sleep. You can heal Orisa. Moira is coalescencing Orisa. So you have so many different options. And Reinhardt's really far forwards here as well. You have so many things that are saying, yeah, Orisa she'll probably be good. She actually has all of her abilities as well, right? So everything is screaming kind of like if you're taking in your environment and paying attention to what's happening, looking at her health bar, all of it's saying she's good. She doesn't need it. Now, even if she did need it, let's say she was 1 HP and about to die, and we nano her to save her life, sometimes you gotta think, okay, how many kills is she gonna get if we nano her, right? From her current position, I'd say she'd be lucky to get 1. There's not really it's kind of okay. It's not the worst. It's a tank, so it's pretty decent, but it's just okay. She's probably most ever, unless she's in a fantastic position for it. She's saved a life and gotten a kill. So that's now like 2 life points. Now, if we nano coalescence, well, then what we can do is we can that's not even taking into, and then a lot of the times you can probably just keep Orisa up or chance trying to keep Orisa up normally, right? So and that's getting back to, is there a 100% chance that she dies, or is there a 50% chance that she dies? If there's a 50% chance that she dies, and you can get 2 kills out of Nano Coalescence, then you can get Nano Coalescence and then still maybe have Orisa alive, right? So and you still maybe get her. So it's just all different things to think about. It's not to say that nanoing to save life is always bad. Sometimes it's really good. It'll sometimes be beneficial, especially when you don't have a lot of other good options. But it's not always the best option, and I find a lot of players will get caught up in doing that again and again and again and again and again rather than comboing their ability, which can sometimes, especially on like more powerful, like if you're doing Nano Blade or Nano Visor or something of that nature, Nano Blossom, Nano Barrage, a lot of those combos can get more value than just saving a tank, and sometimes Anos will get caught up in that. Does all that make sense?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Once again, so whenever you die, there seems to be a common theme behind the deaths, but whenever you die, you want to think through, and this is basically the process of improvement is thinking through what was the mistake. Well, the mistake was you died. What was the issue behind the mistake? What was the reason why you died? And we're starting to run short on time. Usually I'd ask you that, but I guess I'll answer it for myself. What are common reasons why people die? Well, you can die because you have poor positioning, a lack of awareness of your surroundings, such as if like someone sneaks up on you and you don't notice. You can misuse your abilities, like if you miss them or use them in poor timing. You can get over aggressive and kind of run into them. You could have poor movement and stand still. And those are the common ones. Then so you think through that, you think through what's the solution, and then you go from there and you try to you apply the solution to your gameplay. Here once again, reason, like sometimes there'll be multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Seems to be the very consistent one. Application. So I just said, and then you look to apply it. But how do you apply stuff, right? Like how do you put things into action? You're going to put this stuff into action. Really, how you put anything into action and work on it, and that's going to be that you actively focus on it, that you're going to think through it, that you're not going to come into the game in autopilot, but that you're going to come into the game, you're going to pick something out, like let's say, for example, positioning, and you're going to think to yourself, positioning, cover, high ground, that sort of thing. And when you're giving yourself a constant stream of reminders, then you're probably going to have a bit better positioning. You're going to think about cover more often. You're going to use cover more often because you're thinking about it. When you do that for a long enough period of time, it forms it as a habit. Once you form it as a habit, then you don't really need to think about it as much. It just kind of comes naturally, and then you can move on to something else to work on. Final thing is, don't try to do everything all at the same time, because that can just kind of get overwhelming. Instead, focus on one category of things, or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category, which we're going to go over in a second. But does that all make sense? Any questions on it?
The questions make sense.
Gotcha. All right. So let's do the wrap up and go over the main points and do a quick review. Ability usage, put effort, right? Like we're kind of effort. It's like pretty much on the same like plane of thought as focus, right? But the idea is just like put some extra focus and thought and energy into how you're using your abilities. Don't just go and aid time and sleep time, right? and you're gonna be able to have a bit more effective, like be a bit more effective with them. Abilities are real important. That's how they're how you get value. Nade, don't throw it directly at people. Throw it at the feet in between as many people as possible. Wait for them to kind of group up. Try to go for as many people as possible. I think I really only saw like one-man nades, and that was it, right? So try to aim for 2, 3, right? I'd say try to set that threshold where unless it's really needed, sometimes a one man nade can be really good, but unless it's like a great one or it's needed, I would try to set 2 as like the minimum, right? Try to go for 2 plus. Besides that, scope nade tech, off angle for nades, heal nade when healing is needed, anti-nade when it's not needed. You need it when people are low and in danger. And that's a lot of that, right? Ability usage overall, I would say probably go to a higher end of a medium priority for you to work on. Decent bit of value that could be had there. But I don't think it's the biggest thing. Then comes your ult usage. Ult usage, not too shabby. I think I saw like a couple good ones. Is maybe that last one. Don't feel like you always have to um go for the save nade, or sorry, the save nano, and sometimes really think through it, and is this actually saving them or do they not need it? Think through what are some combos you can do. It's possible we can go more, like we definitely could have gone more in depth on those. We didn't really go into like, okay, what are the combos? Potentially, I mean, like I'll briefly just say, think through in your head at the start of each round, like who are the best people I could be nanoing, and that'll help a little bit. But we definitely could have gone more in depth on that. Overall abilities, or ult usage, sorry, was a pretty decent. I'd say it's like a low to medium priority for you to work on. Not that big. Mechanics. I saw like minor things here and there. I don't think we've really touched on mechanics too much. Yeah, trying to think. I don't think we really did.
Yeah, we didn't.
I saw a minor bit of overhealing where like, somebody's full HP and you're trying to heal them. That's a no-no, but we didn't go in depth on that. Also saw like a minor bit, like, sometimes we would scope when somebody's right next to us, and sometimes we would unscope when someone's a mile away from us. Just look to unscope is close, scoped is long range. Once again, we don't have to go in depth on that for the moment. Overall, that one's like a low. There wasn't too much. There wasn't a whole lot to work on there. It's pretty solid, at least for the moment, right? Doesn't mean it won't come up in the future as you improve and we get into more advanced stuff, as you start to get punished more for certain things, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Then next is positioning. Positioning, we talked about a lot of different things. Cover, good positioning is the use of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. Take high grounds, rotate there in between fights, and whenever you get the chance, that's great positioning. Take off angles for easy nades. Oh, another thing with the abilities was think about the obstacles, right? Teammates, shields, abilities, right? Try to get around them, and then off angling, right, to get around them, and get value. And remembering that high grounds act as off angles as well. Try to keep line of sight on as many teammates as possible. It's not going to be possible at all times for all teammates, but just as many as you're able, right? As long as it's not killing you. Then besides that, make sure that you are kind of at appropriate ranging. Ana is usually a emphasis on close to mid range from teammates. Emphasis on mid to close range on enemies, is roughly speaking. There will be some niche circumstances where you can go really far away, but that you really need large open sight lines to be able to do that. So that, once again, so that you can land abilities and not have people walk out of your line of sight. And when you're positioning, try to check off as many of these boxes as you're able, right? That's good on a positioning, is where you can check off 1, 2, 3, 4, the different things, rather than just having like one of them checked off. But at the very minimum, I'd say cover. that seems to be the big one, right? And that also led to a lot of survivability issues, staying alive. Overall, that one was like a high priority, or medium, high to high, right? That's pretty big. That'll set up your ability usage. It will set up your survivability. It will set up your mechanics. it will allow you to actually do things effectively and not die while you're doing it. And then moving on, final thing is awareness. Just pay attention to your surroundings. Watch teammates' health bars. Watch their danger levels. Watch kind of where's my team, where's the enemy team. But honestly, that one wasn't like super major. Still some stuff though. So I'd say that maybe like lower end of a medium. So to put that all in order, number one is kind of by far positioning. Number two, that's the closest one, is ability usage. 3 comes in at your awareness. 4 at your ult usage, and then mechanics not really something that we discussed for the session. Any questions?
No questions.
Alrighty. Well, I will